Hey all, it's David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about NPC power levels. I did a similar video to this one called, heroic versus ordinary heroes, or heroes versus superheroes, something like that. But I wanted to come back and kind of elaborate on or explore some other points of that. So I've met a lot of people arguing about the reality of the setting, and I've made several videos. I made Keeping It Real. I made which James titled, by the way. I made just recently. I made another video called Player Agency, talking about why you need to understand the world to make decisions in that world. So part of the world, though, is going to be how powerful are the most powerful people in the world. So we're talking about the average power level, the maximum power, and like the medium or median power. So we're talking about all these things going forward. And I've met some people who come through and say, oh well, and they're usually talking about Pathfinder. So I might use some Pathfinder terminology, but they'll say, oh well, most NPCs are level 1, or most NPCs are level 5, or 10, or 15, or whatever it is. So that does affect the world and how it works. And to me, when I go in, I look at the maximum, which in Pathfinder is level 20, and I say, okay, well, the best guy in the world at something is level 20 in whatever he's good at. Then average will be 10. So most people are level 10 in whatever they're good at, and then you'll have some weak-ass jabronis maybe who are down at 5, and you'll have some guys at 15 who are on the way up or down if they're getting older. So that's how I usually do things. But there are some people who are like, well, if it goes from 1 to 20, then most people are level 1. And to me, I'm just like, how does that make sense? That's a very complicated demographic you've got there. Like if the king is level 20 at being a king, if he's level 20 aristocrat or nobleman or whatever, then or is the king level 2? Like, and even though he's the king, he's the best at being an aristocrat, or pretty close to it. Why is he level 2? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. He should have all of the opportunity in the world to get up to level 20. He's got tutors and schooling, and he's got lots of free time to implement these things. He's got all this responsibility he's trying to live up to. So he should, even without trying very hard, he should get to like at least average, which to me would be 10. He should get halfway there to where he's trying to get to. Same thing with like a high priest should be at level 20. The archmage should be up at level 20. The leader of a gang should be a level 20 gangster or gangbanger or rogue or whatever they're called. The guy who's the best at what he does is at max level in whatever he does. So that's me. That's how I look at the game world, and that's how I try to build the setting. Because to me, it's not fair if the PCs can get better than everyone else. Now you're playing superheroes instead of just actual heroes. And like I said, I did a video on that and why that's not the most conducive to fun. So I just wanted to do this video and share how I thought about it, where the person who's the best at it is the actual best mechanically at it. As opposed to some people who are like, oh yeah, well the high priest is probably only 5th level, even though we're 10th level and we're just wandering around being murder hobos, and we're not taking the time to study. We haven't invested years of schooling like he has, but somehow we're of higher level than he is. And I'm like, what? It doesn't make any sense at all. Especially something like a Mage's Guild or a Temple, where the more powerful you get, the higher your rank should increase. As opposed to, like, I could see the king not being that good, but he gets bumped up anyway because he's got all his family helping him. He's got, tradition behind him, and he doesn't have to live up to it. I could see him maybe being a little worse. But when your God speaks to you more loudly and clearly than everyone else, and it's a temple, that guy should be the top guy. Kind of hard to politic your way around that, or your way around, who the God likes the best. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, and I'm curious about how you do things. If you let your heroes get stronger than everyone else, or if you actually just do it realistically and say, well, if it can go to 20, most people are around 10 if you're average, and then of course that means that you should start the PCs at whatever level their background reflects as well. If his storyline is that he's the best swordsman in the world, he should start at level 20 swordsman. Or if his storyline reflects that he's actually a really shitty swordsman, he should start at like level 5. And you do it realistically. You build the world as a real place and with real people in it, and you throw the PCs in, and they're real too. And if they put in the time to improve something, then they level up in that. So yeah, I just wanted to hear how you do things and what you think of that method. If you've seen it done one way or the other. A lot of people might say Pathfinder is a bad example for this because it's wonky and ridiculous, and it's hard to figure out what the world looks like if there are so many level 20 guys running around. But to me, that's just I'm trying to do one thing, and maybe it is designed to do something else. But if you're also trying to have a real story and immersive experience, you should definitely be seeking out rule systems that let you do that. So Pathfinder is as written, straight as written, no homebrew rules. It's going to be tough to do that, in my opinion. But you can still get some degree of that, or you can homebrew it in to some degree. So, I'm talking about Pathfinder as written. Obviously, if I were to run it, I could still make it work. But we'd have to do some homebrew rules. So tell me about your homebrew rules as well. I can't speak on them as a video because if I'm like, oh, Pathfinder's great if you just homebrew this and that and that. I can't do that because that's not an honest review of what's been printed. But so that's my disclaimer on those who want to yell at me. Pathfinder's not that bad if you fix it yourself, if you put in the time and effort and energy. But if you're putting in that time and effort and energy, why did you just spend $70 or whatever it costs? But that's all a big tangent. Anyway, let me know who's the most powerful guy, who's the most average guy in your setting. Is the level 1 guy a 7-year-old boy who has not yet begun his training in whatever he's going to do? Is a level 5 guy maybe a 14-year-old kid who's kind of coming into his own now? Is the level 10 guy that adult, and he's kind of coming into the what could be the peak of his power, and that's as good as he's ever going to get because he's about average? And then the level 15 guy might just have that extra edge. He's had 2 trainers instead of just 1. He's a savant, whatever it is. And the level 20 guy, he's had like 3 different teachers, and he's put in years of practice and hard work, and he's got all this natural ability. So that's how he got to level 20. In that area. That's another thing about Pathfinder. It's like, well, I'm the best fighter in the world, but I'm skinny as a rail, and I get killed easily. And Pathfinder's like, oh no, don't worry about that. Here's your base attack bonus, and it comes with hit points. And you're like, I don't want hit points. I'm skinny. I can't have hit points going on because it doesn't make sense Pathfinder's like, oh no, don't worry about that. You just take your hit points and you'll be fine. So like I said, there are problems with Pathfinder, but there are problems with a lot of rule sets. I'm just picking on Pathfinder because it's fairly popular, but there's a lot of rule sets that have similar problems to that. So anyway, let me know. That's my ramble. I wish you all a good day, good gaming.